Let me help you get started with this mixed practice. Had we been in class, I would have walked you through letter A and B, which you're going to find to be a little more of an extension of what we did yesterday. Will you be able to do them? Sure. But each of them have a little bit of a trick that it's helpful to see, so then you can be successful with this a little bit more on your own. Now, remember, the idea is to have the bases be the same, and clearly we have a base 16 right here. But sometimes students aren't really clear about what the base is for the right side of the equation. And it would be helpful to think of the square root as an exponent so that you can think of the base as 4. So 4 is the base, but maybe more importantly, what would the exponent be? Well, remember, a square root is the same as a 1/2. So we can think of the right side of the equation as 4 to the 1/2. Now, how about the left side of the equation? Well, it clearly has a base that's 16, but wouldn't it be nice to think of that also as a base 4? Well, we can, because 16 is the same as a base 4 that is squared. And so now we have the bases on both sides being the same. We do have to be careful when we combine the exponents together on the left side, because remember, when you have two exponents, in this case a power to a power, you're going to multiply the exponents. And of course, when you multiply them, you really do have to distribute, because you're multiplying 2 onto the x and 2 onto the 2. But you knew that, right? All right, so the bases are the same, and of course the exponents would have to be equal. And we can do the really easy step of just saying that 2x plus 4 has to be the same as 1/2. And of course, you just go through the progression of solving that equation. Don't be fooled. Yes, you're subtracting 4 from a fraction. You can write that as a decimal. You can write that as a fraction. If you want to keep it in decimal form, it is negative. And of course, when you divide by 2, half of negative 3.5, well, that's going to come out to be negative 7/4 as a fraction, or you could write down the decimal equivalent. So a square root is the same as a 1/2 power. All right, let's take a look at letter B. Now, I don't know if you realize or not, but there's something quite different about letter B, and that is that it has a plus sign. There really has not been a problem that we've done that has had a plus sign in it, and really the truth behind this problem is that we don't want to have that extra plus 25 just kind of hanging out. We want to have both sides be so that we can write them as just a base. What I mean is we just want to have one number on each side. And so when I subtract 25, it actually allows me to rethink the number 125. It allows me to rethink of that as a base 5. Now you have to know what your exponents are, but it is true that 125 can be written as 5 to the third power. 5 times 5 times 5. So now, of course, the bases are the same, and the easy step, we know that the exponents would have to be the same. So, of course, 2x equals 3, which means x equals 3/2, or if you like the decimal, you can write 1.5. So, for this problem, its original form had this kind of this extra term here, and it turns out that if we subtract that over to the other side, we get a new number that we are able to think of as a base 5. Now, for the rest of the mixed practice, you want to do just that. You want to practice. Yes, you'll be able to check your answers. You'll notice that I did provide a selective answer key. Feel free to look at that. And I even provided a video that will highlight a few of the more complicated problems. But make sure that you're actually working on the problems first, and of course checking them second.